What's going on YouTube? So out of all the Subarus currently on sale, there is none as recognizable as this, the Outback.
And for 2024, Subaru has continued to add standard features without raising the price too much.
So is this still a great choice? Let's go ahead and find out. So like always, let's get things started here under the hood. So for 2024, the Outback continues with the same two powertrains. That's going to be a 2.5 liter boxer 4-cylinder engine making 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. You can also option on a 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer 4-cylinder engine, and that makes about 80 more horsepower.
All of the models are going to be paired to a CVT, standard symmetrical all-wheel drive in typical Subaru fashion. And as far as your fuel economy is concerned, it ranges from 23 combined all the way up to 28 combined with what we have with us today.
Now, of course, later on in the video, we're going to go out for a full test drive. We're going to get things like our signature sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood and take a look at the exterior. So last year, Subaru extensively refreshed the exterior design of this Outback model, and you'll see that same look carry on for 2024. However, I do want to mention one thing right from the start. That's the fact that the Wilderness trim level actually receives the same updates as the rest of the Outback trim levels this year. So that's going to give it the updated grille, in addition to all the other special rugged features that it has. We'll throw a picture in right now, but we do hope to cover that trim level separately at a later date because it really does have a lot of differences throughout the rest of the vehicle. Nevertheless, like I was saying, we do have this updated grille right through here. You've got the dark gray accenting running through the middle of it. And of course, one of the big changes that they made last year was just changing this overall rugged trim. So as you can see, it kind of extends up a lot further all the way underneath of the headlight. Speaking of the headlights, let's go ahead and get into that. So we have standard full LED headlights, and surprisingly, these are also adaptive. So it's a very nice feature. So the turn signal is going to be incandescent, and then you do have an LED daytime running light. Down below, you'll also find standard LED fog lamps. Now, of course, as we move to the rear, you're going to see that signature Outback design continue for 2024.
Yeah, no changes back here, but this is how every Outback owner has liked it for the last long while, so I don't see any reason to change success. Drew, go ahead and hop inside so we can see if all the elements of this taillight are LED. So we do have an LED brake light portion. We have an incandescent reverse light and an incandescent turn signal indicator. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. That's going to actually be the case for all Outback models, regardless of the trim level. I will say, though, that the turn signal is amber, and a lot of people like that. So not too bad overall. We do have an exposed rear wiper right here. Dropping down to the lower area, all of this is going to be finished in a real beefy cladding. Makes it look a lot more tough and rugged for all of your off-roading adventures. As far as the tow rating is concerned, it's 2,000 pounds for the standard engine option. If you go for the XT model, it's 3,500 pounds, which is the most a Outback has ever been able to tow.
Now moving on to our wheels, you begin with 17-inch alloys on your base and premium trims. Once you get up to the Onyx, though, that's going to get you 18-inch alloy wheels. This contrast design is shared between the Limited and the Touring model. I think it looks quite nice. Now, like I was mentioning earlier, again, you do have that adjusted rugged trim for this 2024 model. Now, as we move up here to our mirrors, you've got this nice chrome accent that extends out to them, and you will find blind spot monitoring as well as heating starting on your Onyx edition. You can option that onto the premium model, and you also have available auto dimming if you want that feature.
Now at the side of the Outback, you're going to see its signature look, and as far as the length is concerned, 191.1 inches long. Now as far as some of the design elements, we have chrome window surrounds. We also have beefy raised roof rails on every single Outback model, so that's going to make it real easy to put up whatever you're going to need up on the roof, kayaks, whatever, for your off-road adventures. Now as far as the safety systems are concerned, there is a change for 2024, a big improvement. So you are going to continue to have all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment on all Outback models, but the change is that the Onyx Edition and above for 2024 now have rear auto braking, so you're not going to back over that family of koala bears on your off-road adventure. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior design of this Outback. And if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's get on to the interior. But first, we'll take a look at our key fob, of course. As you can see, typical Subaru affair, you will have a smart entry system standard on the Onyx Edition and above. On models equipped with that system, just reach behind the handle. That's going to unlock the door. And go ahead and take a look inside at the interior. Now, of course, this was just refreshed last year, so again, you're not going to notice any huge changes to the cabin. But first, let's go ahead and talk about interior color and material choices. So your base and premium trims will come standard with cloth seating, Onyx Edition and Wilderness, the StarTex leatherette, the Limited real leather, and then the Touring Napa leather. So of course we've got the Limited trim level. It is a real leather seat, very nice feeling. I love the stitching details that they use and the perforation. It's a very premium seat. Actually kind of looks like it's from a luxury vehicle. As far as your color choices, slate black, titanium gray, or warm ivory. The top end Touring model could also throw in a Java brown option. Moving down to the seat controls, you have 10 or 12-way power adjusting seats on all trims except for the base model. As you can see, we've got the 12-way. We also have a manual thigh extension for maximum comfort and two-person memory seating for Limited and Touring models. But let's go ahead, climb inside, and take a look at the details. Now we've seen the seating materials. Let's see the rest of the cabin materials. So we'll start out over here with our door trim. We have a nice leather material all through here. We also have leather coming from the top and cascading down through the center with a color contrast stitching detail. The top is soft touch, and we have some piano black accenting through there. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all going to be finished in a nice soft touch plastic. Center sections are going to be finished in a leatherette down here as well, with more of that stitching detail, and more leatherette is even going to continue down here along our center console. Everything fits together very solidly. And overall, we're still quite impressed by the cabin. Now to fire it up, put your foot on the brake and press the button. Now switching into a first-person perspective for a closer look, let's look at the gauges first of all. So we do have a traditional gauge cluster. All the Outbacks have this and a 4.2-inch multi-function display right there in the middle. It does contain some basic information, but some of your more detailed information is actually going to be located across the top of your main display, including things like your off-road features. Now coming back to the steering wheel, of course we do have a nice leather-wrapped one. This is the typical Subaru design. It is manual tilt and telescoping, and for 2024 we have expanded availability of steering wheel heating. So now it's going to start on the Onyx Edition and above, the steering wheel heating feature, so you can leave the frosty hands to Frosty the Snowman, because most of your Outbacks are going to now have the heated steering wheel. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage next. This is a two-tier console, so you've got a small area up top. You can open up to the larger part, and you've got a nice felt lining and a 12-volt outlet down below. Here are the coupons though, let's see if they fit. Looks like it's going to be a little tight because this is a shallow storage area, but it does snap. They're just going to be maybe a little crumpled up there at the top. Up in front of that, of course, you got your two cup holders, and then you have a small storage area right here. You can also option this on to be a wireless phone charging pad, and you've got a little storage shelf for the passenger as well. Coming back to the shifter, this is a traditional style shifter, of course. Just pull back for drive. Bump to the left if you'd like to shift through some simulated gears with these paddle shifters. And then when you go into reverse, you will find a standard backup camera. As you can see, we do have active trajectory on board. There's not going to be a 360 camera option. However, several of your trim levels do offer a front camera, so you have a 180-degree view for when you're off-roading or parking in a tight situation. And then right in front of the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. Now we can't avoid it any longer. We have the dominating and very large 11.6 inch main infotainment display here. Inside of this display is where you're going to find a lot of features, including our climate controls down here at the bottom. So we do have a dual zone automatic setup on the premium trim level and above. As you can see, making adjustments is going to be very simple. You just tap right there to adjust up and down, and then you can also adjust your temperature like so. Subaru does say that this runs on a separate processor from the main infotainment system itself. Now we do also have 3-stage heated seats that's included on the premium trim level and above, but if you want seat ventilation, you will have to choose the fully loaded Touring. Now moving above, past our physical temperature control adjustments, we also have our physical volume knob. So this controls either a 4, 6, or 12 speaker Harman Kardon sound system. That's what we have on this Limited as well as the Touring trim level, and we'll give it a sample right now. Very nice. Overall sound quality is great, really fills up the cabin well, and sounds pretty balanced. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the main infotainment system itself. Now I do want to point out, if you choose the base model, instead of the single 11.6 inch display, you will get two 7-inch displays instead, but most models will come with this. This is Subaru's newest Starlink system, so as you can see, you've got all of your apps nicely laid out. Importantly, to a lot of people, you have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay included with this system. And if you choose the 2.5 Touring or XT models, that will give you a built-in navigation system as well. Moving on from that, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. It is a smart camera mirror on the top-end Touring. And then up here at the top of the vehicle, we do have a standard size sunroof. This is included or optional on pretty much every single trim level. However, it is the standard size unit. You're not going to get a panoramic one. That's due to the fact that a lot of people load things on the roof of their Outbacks. And if you want that, you can also get it on the Forester.
Well, I've always loved the Outback's rear seat, and that is going to continue for 2024. Not only is this a very comfortable place to spend time, it's also a very spacious place to spend time. So let's talk about that space first. 39.5 inches of legroom, 39.1 inches of headroom. That places it as nearly identical to the Subaru Forester. It's also on par with that of other midsize SUVs like the Nissan Murano, Hyundai Santa Fe. It's really going to depend on what you're comparing it to, but this certainly is a big second row area. Now, I did bring my handy-dandy bendy ruler, and as far as the seating adjustment adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", we're looking at 8 inches of space between my knees and the seat back, which is certainly good. Also, my feet can slide all the way in, which I'm sure my guys are going to like. Now, as far as the center area, let's talk about the features. We do have vents on all but the very base model. In addition to that, you're also going to have these USB ports on all but the base model. And if you go for the Limited, Touring, Wilderness, or any XT model, so quite the complicated structure for heated rear seats, but any of those models, you will have 2-stage heated rear seats. Now, as far as the center armrest, we do have 2 cup holders inside. Let's turn to the door trim. The door trim is going to be made of the same premium materials as the front. I'm very happy to see that. Lots of leatherette going through here, soft touch material on the top, soft touch padded area on my armrest portion, and we do also have bottle storage down in the very bottom. Now, walking up to the cargo area of this Outback, we do have a hands-free power tailgate on Onyx trim levels and above. Then let's go ahead and check out this cargo area, because there's also an impressive amount of space back here. 33 cubic feet behind the second row seats. As a maximum, we're looking at 75.6 cubic feet if you fold these seats down. So as you can see, that is a really good amount of space. It's very close to what the Subaru Forester is in terms of the overall cubic feet measure. Although I would imagine, since this is a wagon, it's actually going to be a little bit longer in its cargo area. And speaking of length, I did bring my handy-dandy measuring tape to measure just that figure. So from the back of the front seat all the way to the rear of the cargo area, we're looking at about 78 inches of space. And if you're curious as to what would fit in that amount of space, a bicycle on average for an adult is about 69 inches long, so you could definitely fit a bicycle in that. You could even fit a lot larger items as well. Now, as far as other features, we have a cargo cover up top. We're also going to have these handles to fold the seats, and then we do have a little bit of storage off to the side. If we lift up the cargo floor, there is a spare tire up underneath of here. Well, guys, the time is here for us to do our test drive portion about the 2024 Subaru Outback. We're going to be doing a lot of things in this test drive, including getting our signature sound level reading, and we'll go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
So there we are, accelerating up to about 60 miles per hour with the 2024 Subaru Outback. Like we mentioned at the spec dump, you've got two different powertrains. Most people are going to choose what we have today. This is the standard 2.5 liter boxer 4-cylinder engine. To remind you, 182 horsepower, 176 pound-feet of torque. Those are totally adequate numbers for a vehicle of this size. You know, it's not going to blow you away with speed, obviously. If you want a little extra jolt of speed, then you should certainly look at upgrading to an XT model. That's going to give you that 2.4 liter turbocharged boxer 4-cylinder engine. A good power boost, like I was mentioning, is about 80 horsepower, I believe. Yeah, 260 horsepower for that model, 277 pound-feet of torque. I think, honestly, the torque is the thing that you're going to notice the most for the XT, that boost. We've driven the XT several times, and it is significantly faster than this base motor. So I would suggest, if power matters to you at all, going for the XT, and Subaru does offer it on a lot of trim levels, so you can really get it, you know, not necessarily on just the fully loaded touring or whatnot. You can get it on other trim levels as well. Right, they've really expanded the availability starting last year. Yeah. And you do actually get that engine standard if you choose for that wilderness trim level on the Outback, which we did mention we'll be hopefully doing a separate review on to show you all the details about that model. Let's also talk a little bit about the other aspect of the powertrain. That's the transmission. We've got a CVT. And it's a good partner in this application. Yeah. They've tuned this to be very nice and responsive, especially when you're getting off the line. Subaru kind of does an aggressive throttle response, and then they also have, you know, very responsive CVT. So that really kind of gets things off the line nice and quickly, even if power does, you know, come back down a little bit as you get up to speed. Yeah, and I mentioned it in the spec dump, but as with any Subaru model, you do have standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Of course, this Outback is actually targeting a little bit more of the off-road crowd, so it is good that you have this standard all-wheel drive system on any Outback model. Now, I do also want to talk about your fuel economy for the Outback. It's a pretty good figure. So you're looking at 26 city, 32 highway, 28 combined for the 2.5 model like what we're in today. Like we mentioned, this is probably the volume seller in the Outback lineup. Definitely. So that's going to be the vast majority of Outback's fuel economies for 2024. You do also have the XT model that comes in at 25 miles a gallon combined, so not really too much of a penalty for choosing that more powerful option, only 3 mpg. And then the Wilderness is where you're going to see the largest fuel economy deficit. That's 23 miles a gallon combined because, of course, it's just a little bit higher up off the ground. You have the standard XT powertrain on that model, so it's going to be the worst fuel economy of the bunch. Now, to support that fuel economy figure, you do have a standard auto start-stop system. When it's off, it's going to give you like a little timer, tell you how much fuel you're saving roughly, so that's nice. I'll just let my foot off the brake here for a second, see it restart. It's okay, it's not the smoothest. I know some people have complained about it in the comments of our videos, but if you don't like it, they have added here in the display a easy button that you can just press and turn it off. And it does have a shift simulation as well to the CVT if you're going hard on the throttle.
All right, now that we're getting up to highway speed, I do want to talk about your ride quality for this Outback. Now, we've been in this model a lot of times. If you follow the channel, you know we've reviewed it a lot of times, and I've always been very impressed with the ride quality. That, of course, continues for 2024. This Outback is incredibly comfortable. I have no complaints whatsoever when it comes to the ride quality. The seats are incredible. It's just a very good place to spend time for you and your family, so you're going to be in a lot of comfort on your way to that off-road adventure. Alrighty. Now that we're getting up to 55, let's go ahead and do our signature sound level reading.
Yep, here on a local Lexington road.
Looks like we've officially settled in at 57.1 decibels, which is a good reading. Let's go ahead and see how it compares to some of the competition. And as far as how that compares to the competition, that is going to place it right around the middle of the pack for the segment. The quietest one in the segment is the Atlas Cross Sport, and the loudest one is the Chevy Blazer. So right in the middle of those SUVs. And I do want to point out, guys, we now have our sound level readings on the website, so if you want to know that full list as well as every vehicle in its segment, all those good things, and compare them, we have that on our website, www.carconfections.com, and on the main drop-down menu there is the sound level readings tab that you can go check that out. So if you want that full list, I know a lot of you guys have been requesting it, you can find it there. And it wouldn't be a Car Confections review without hitting our slam dunk and airball. Drew, what is the slam dunk?
The slam dunk's going to be the interior. Twofold, both the finishes. It's very nice, as we mentioned earlier, good materials and just overall luxury feel. And then also that it's very versatile and functional. You have a lot of space. You know, people use these. They go off-road. They go on a camping adventure. And you can bring all your stuff along. You can bring your kayak, canoe, stuff like that. No problem.
Yeah, and as far as our airball is concerned, it's actually a little bit difficult for us to pinpoint one. But if we were to see something in the comments again and again and again, it was that they don't, in general, the cladding is a little bit polarizing, and some people like all the cladding up in the front, all in the back.
Ironically, I'm looking at the pre-refresh right behind us currently.
Oh, yeah.
And simply put, it just has less cladding. So after they refreshed it, they added more cladding. So if you're a cladding fan, you're going to like this more. If you're not, you're probably going to like this design less.
And the last thing that I want to mention is the warranty for the Outback. It's going to be Subaru Signature Warranty, 3-year 36,000 miles for your basic, 5-year 60,000 miles for your powertrain warranty. And how much is this Outback going to cost for 2024? Well, I said at the beginning that prices weren't going to rise a lot this year, and I wasn't lying, because on most trim levels of the Outback, you're only seeing about a $500 increase this year. Now, as far as some of the other trim levels, it's really going to depend. They do rise by about $2,000 for both the 2.5 Touring as well as the Onyx Edition. Now, as far as this particular model that we're looking at today, this is the limited model 2.5. We also have a few options, including the option package 34, which includes the moonroof as well as a few other goodies, plus the $1295 destination. We're looking at $39,610 for this Outback as equipped. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2024 Subaru Outback Limited. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help us get access to vehicles like this, where we can get early content on some of the newest model year vehicles. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you haven't had the chance to follow us on TikTok and Instagram, go ahead and do that. Also, check out our merch store, where we have a lot of different items available for sale. We additionally have a website, so go ahead and check that out as well. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.